Hello students, in this video we will, in our previous video we have started with chapter number 4, that is structure of atom. In this video also we will continue with the same chapter about the discovery of electrons, protons and neutrons, and about different atomic models we have studied in our previous chapter. Here in this video we will discuss about electronic configuration, atomic mass, atomic number, valency and then isotopes and isobars. So let's start with the class. So very first topic that we will take in this video is electronic configuration. What basically the electronic configuration is, it is the arrangement of electrons in various shells of an atom of an element. Now from the atomic models, we are for present day we are following the Bohr's atomic model, which states that electrons keeps on revolving in a fixed energy orbit, and we call it as either as shell, as orbit or as energy level. So electronic configuration basically specifies about the distribution of electron in those energy levels or those shells. So how that will, and second one, for calculating the electronic configuration, two things must be known to us. First of all, the atomic number of an element, what is the atomic number of it. So depending on the atomic number we can specify the electronic configuration as well. And second thing, if we know the maximum number of electrons that could be accommodated in any shell, then also we can write the electronic configuration easily. So the maximum number of electrons in a shell is given by this formula, that is 2n square, where n is the number of orbit. For example, if we are talking about the first shell, that is K shell, so its number is 1. So the maximum number of electrons that could be accommodated in first shell is given by this formula. So 2 as it is, here the value of n is 1, on substituting you will get it to be 2. That means in the very first shell, maximum 2 electrons could be accommodated. Then second shell, for it n will be 2. So for second shell, maximum number of electrons will be 8. In the similar way, we can calculate for third shell, fourth shell, that comes to be 18 and 32 and so on. We can calculate it for different shells. Now second point is that the outermost shell of an atom cannot accommodate more than 8 electrons even if it has the capacity to accommodate more electrons. That means any element for its electronic configuration, for first shell it will follow the duplet rule, that means maximum 2 electrons could be accommodated, and for remaining orbits it will follow the octet rule, that is 8 electrons could be accommodated. For example, let's explain this thing with the help of an example. Suppose if we consider potassium, so we know that the atomic number of potassium is 19. So how can we write it? It is first shell K, L, M and N shell. Now in first shell we know that only 2 electrons could be accommodated, not more than 2. So 2 will specify here. That means 2 electrons will be there in K shell. Then next shell will accommodate 8 electrons, not more than that. And next shell, according to here it comes that 18 electrons could be accommodated, but it is not so. Here it is maximum of 8 it will accommodate here, and the remaining will move on to next shell, that is N shell. Here it follows the octet rule, that means outermost shell will accommodate only 2 electrons irrespective of its capacity to accommodate. Okay. In the similar way, if we talk about calcium, to Ca is a symbol, atomic number is 20. Again its electronic configuration will be this 2882. This is third shell. According to it, it must have 18 electrons, but as we have specified here, it cannot accommodate more than 8 electrons even if it has the capacity to accommodate more electrons. Again it is following the octet rule, so the remaining 2 electrons will move on to next shell. This is the electronic configuration. We can write it like this using commas. That means first we'll write the number of electrons in K shell, then L, then M and then N. We can represent it with the figure also. Suppose this is the positively part. Suppose let's draw it for hydrogen. So this is the positive nucleus and it is the first orbit. Now how many electrons a hydrogen atom will have? Only 1. So in this electron will be there at this point. If we want to show it for helium, so it can accommodate 2 electrons. So 1 will be here. If we want to show it for lithium, so lithium atomic number is 3. That means it can have a total of 3 electrons. So 2 will be there in first shell. So the next electron will move on to next shell here. If it would be 4, that is beryllium, to electron would be at this position. So like this we can represent the electronic configuration also. Next is atomic number. Atomic number is basically the number of protons in the nucleus of its atom. In an atom, how many number of protons are present, that will specify its atomic number. For example, if we talk about, suppose oxygen atom, so oxygen is having 6 protons, so its atomic number will also be 6. We can represent atomic number by the letter Z. That means Z will represent its atomic number. One more thing, here we have considered its proton. We would have considered electron also, but we are not considering electron. There is a reason behind it, because whenever the chemical reaction takes place, so it is your electrons which are taking part in a chemical reaction. So during a reaction, either electrons could be gained or they could be lost. So their values, that means the number of electrons during a chemical reaction will not remain fixed. They can vary. So depending, if we are considering electron here, so obviously in a chemical reaction the atomic number would also change. So for that reason we are taking protons, not electrons. Next one is mass number. We can call it with the name atomic mass also. It is the sum of number of protons and the number of neutrons in the atom of an element. That means if we want to calculate the atomic mass or the mass number, so we require the value of number of protons and the number of neutrons. So on adding the number of protons and the number of neutrons which are present in one atom of an element, that will give you the mass number of that element. Mass number is represented by letter A. Proton, number of protons is P, number of neutrons is N. Now one thing, we know that number of protons and number of electrons in an atom are equal. So instead of P, we can substitute the value of Z also, because that will remain same. Now as the mass number of most of the elements is known to us, atomic number of most of the elements is also known to us. So if these two things are known to us, then we can easily calculate the number of neutrons present in an atom. Now using this atomic number and mass number, we can represent the symbol of an element also. Here this is X. X represents the symbol of an element, Z represents the number, atomic number, and A represents the atomic mass. That means if you will write any symbol of an element, so atomic number will be written as subscript and mass number will be written as superscript. For example, if you represent a carbon atom, so it will be represented as 6C12, where 6 is the atomic number, C is the symbol, and 12 is the mass number. In the similar way, oxygen atom, how we can represent 8O16. That means 8 atomic number, O is the symbol for oxygen atom, and 16 is the mass number. Next is valence electron. Valence electron is basically the electron which is present in the outermost shell of an atom of an element. Suppose that if we consider the example of calcium. So calcium, its atomic number is 20. So we can write it configuration as 2882. That means this 2, that is the number of electron in the outermost shell or the last shell, is 2. Hence the valence electron that will be acquired by calcium is 2. So calcium is having 2 valence electron. That is the number of electrons in the outermost shell. Next is valency. Valency is the number of valence electrons of an element which actually take part in the chemical reaction. That means the number of electrons which are taking part in a chemical reaction. Or we can define valency as the number of electrons gained, lost, or shared by the atom of an element so as to complete the octet of electron in the outermost shell. That means whenever the chemical reaction takes place, either that atom is losing electron or that atom is gaining electron. In few situations, atom is sharing also. Atom is sharing electron also. So the number of electron that is either gained, lost, or shared by that element to complete the octet rule. in the outermost shell is known as valency, or we can say that it is the combining capacity of an atom of an element. Now, how to represent the valency? Let's discuss with the help of an example. Suppose that helium atom is there. So we know that the atomic number of his helium is 2 and its configuration could be written as 2. So it is having only one shell, and in that maximum number of electrons that could be accommodated is 2. So it is stable, so its valency will be 0. That means neither it will gain electron, nor it will lose electron. So its combining capacity is 0, so its valency will also be 0. If we talk about lithium, so atomic number of lithium is 3. Its configuration could be written as 2, 1. Now in this shell, maximum of 8 electrons should be there according to octet rule, but it is having 1. To obtain stability, either it requires 8 electrons in the outermost shell or it requires 0 electrons in the outermost shell. Now what is easy for it? To lose 1 electron or to gain 7 electrons? Obviously 1 electron, so it will lose 1 electron, that means its valency will be 1. Next is beryllium, its atomic number is 4, its configuration is 2, 2. That means again it is having 2 electrons in the outermost shell. It requires 8 or 0. So what is easy for it? To lose 2 electrons or to gain 6 electrons? Obviously 2, so its valency will be 2. In the similar way for boron, also it will lose 3 electrons. Next is carbon, its atomic number is 6, its configuration is 2, 4. Now it lies in the middle state. Either it can lose electron or it can gain electron. So its valency will be 4 in both the situation. If it loses, then also it needs to lose 4 electrons. If it gains, then also it needs to gain 4 electrons. So basically carbon reacts by sharing. Basically carbon does the sharing of electrons. Next is nitrogen, atomic number is 7. Its electronic configuration could be written as 2, 5. Now consider this thing. It is having 5 electrons in the outermost shell. It requires 8 electrons. So what is easy for it? To obtain the octet rule stability, it requires 8 electrons. So what is easy for it? To lose 5 electrons or to gain 3 electrons from outside? Obviously to gain 3 electrons. So if it will gain 3 electrons, so it will achieve the stable state, and hence its valency will be 3. In the similar way, oxygen, its configuration is 2, 6. That means it is having 6 electrons in outermost shell. What is easy for it? To lose 6 electrons or to gain 2 electrons. So obviously it will gain 2 electrons, hence its valency is 2. And in similar way, now the atoms of an element whose valency is 0, they are considered as noble gas, or they are considered as inert gas, or we can consider them as unreactive also, because in their initial state they are stable. Next is isotopes. Isotopes are the atoms of same element which are having same atomic number but different mass number. So isotopes are the atoms that are having same atomic number, that is the number of protons, and different mass number, that is the number of neutrons. Example of the isotopes of hydrogen is this: protium, deuterium and tritium. How you will represent protium? As 1H1, that is hydrogen is having one atomic number and one mass number. These three are the different isotopes of hydrogen only, that is their atomic number that remains same. It is its mass number which is variable. For protium, mass number is 1, for deuterium mass number is 2, for tritium mass number is 3. Let's compare it. The mass number for protium, deuterium and tritium is 1, 2 and 3 as specified using this symbol. The number of protons, that is given by the atomic number. So it is 1 for all the 3 isotopes. So again it is 1. Number of electrons. Now we know that the number of protons and the number of electrons are equal. So if it is 1, so it will also be 1. Now the number of neutrons, as we have studied about in the formula for atomic mass, that A is equals to Z plus N. Here the value of A is known to us, Z is known to us, so we can calculate the number of neutrons also. So the number of neutrons for protium is 0, number of neutrons for deuterium is 1, and the number of neutrons for tritium is 2. That means the other factors, they remain same. It is the neutron whose value differs in these three isotopes of hydrogen. In the similar way, we can have isotopes of chlorine also. One is chlorine, that is 17 Cl35. The second one is 17 Cl37. These two are the isotopes of chlorine. They also differ in their mass number, that is their atomic number remains same. It is the mass number which is different. In the similar way, we can have isotopes of carbon also, that is 6C12, 6C13 and 6C14. These three are the different isotopes of carbon. If we talk about the properties of isotopes, so very first property that we studied in its definition also, that it is having the same number of electrons and protons and different numbers of neutrons, as we have seen it with the help of isotopes of hydrogen also. Different mass number. Two isotopes will differ in their mass numbers. Third one, if the atomic number remains same, so electronic configuration, valency and the chemical properties, all these things will also be same for different isotopes. But when we talk about the physical properties, so physical properties of different isotopes will also be different. So this was about the definition and the properties of isotopes. Next is applications of isotopes. Isotopes find application in different fields. First one is the medicinal use. We are using isotopes of different elements for the treatment of cancer, for locating cancer, for brain tumor, and in this way number of other diseases also. For example, radium 88-225 is used in the treatment of cancer. Phosphorus 1532, that is the isotopes of phosphor, it is used in the location of cancer. Next one is radiocarbon dating. Radiocarbon dating is basically the estimating the age of dead fossils or wood which are having carbon content in them. So for that also we are using isotopes of carbon, that is 6C14. Next is industrial use. For example, we are using 15 phosphorus 33 in the manufacture of steel. So it finds application in different industries also. Next is agricultural use. In agricultural use, we are using 15 phosphorus 35 in fertilizers. And then generating electricity in nuclear reactors, that is our nuclear electricity. So in that also we are using isotope of radioactive element, that is uranium 92, uranium 235. So these were the few applications of isotopes. Next is isobars. What basically the isobars are? Isobars are the atoms of different elements which have the same mass number but different atomic number. What is the difference between two? Isotopes are the atoms having same atomic number but different mass number, and here it is the same mass number but different atomic number. For example, argon, potassium and calcium, their mass number are same and their atomic numbers are different, so they are considered to be the isobars. And for example, another example is carbon and nitrogen. That is, this is nitrogen and this is the isotopes of carbon. So these two, their atomic numbers are different but their mass numbers are same. So these two are also considered as the isobars. If we talk about the properties of isobars, so they will have different physical and different chemical properties. Why? Because they are of different elements. Hence, if they are from different elements, obviously their physical and chemical properties will also vary. So this was about the last topic of the chapter. With this, we finish with the chapter structure of atom. Thank you.